to episode 19 of our podcast. I'm Alex, one half of the Sober Experiment.
And I'm Lisa, the other half.
And I know this is coming out weeks later than you originally heard that we were sad, but we're not sad anymore.
No, we're not sad anymore. In fact, I'm really happy today.
I'm really happy today. And do you know what makes me the happiest? And I know this is a really small, sort of sad, happy thing. But I'm really happy that we've just re-recorded our Day 30 video.
Oh, I'm so relieved about that. You know when you do something and it's there, but I just knew it wasn't our best.
No, I do. And I think that when we've re-recorded it, we're just us, aren't we? Instead of being scripted.
Yeah, and sat upright like...
boring people.
A lot of people sit upright that might not be boring.
Yeah, but we don't.
No, that's true. But yeah, for anybody that is doing the 30-day experiment, Day 30 now, I think we're focused on a little bit more, of the future. And all right, I'm not going to lie, we're trying to encourage you to do 100 days, really.
No, we're not. We're trying to encourage you to stay sober forever.
Well, yeah, but 100 days, if you do 100 days, don't you think that then kind of really gives you insight into how amazing sober life can be, and you experience so many different things that you actually want to do it then forever?
It gives you a more sort of balanced view, because you get the highs and the lows in 100 days, don't you? So you know what you're really capable of.
And like 30 days, I know my husband used to say, he used to do 30 days, like a dry January or sober October, just to prove to himself that he wasn't an alcoholic. So he did that in a breeze, the 30 days. But what he was doing for them 30 days was trying to get, looking forward to the end where he could have a drink, and then he had kind of proved to himself that he didn't need a drink. Yeah. And then he would carry on even worse. Do you know what I mean? So I think 30 days, in some respects, can be quite easy.
I think it can be, but for some people it's also a massive challenge, isn't it? Because, I'm reading on social media quite a lot how some people haven't been sober for one night in a decade. Do you know what I mean? So depending on what a 30 day, if you haven't been sober for a night in a decade, 30 days is amazing, isn't it?
I was really quiet then because I was honestly trying to think how long a decade was.
Oh God, right. Okay, on that note, I think we'll leave our talk about 30 days versus 100 days, don't you? Because a decade's how many years?
10.
Yay!
I have my fingers and toes crossed.
I do love you. Today we are actually interviewing the lovely Mrs. D, Lotta Dann. So check this out, everyone.
How are you doing?
Really good, thanks. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're good. It's so lovely to virtually meet you.
Look, it's New Zealand.
Oh, I want to come.
I got it outside, but it's pitch black.
Can't see anything.
I thought it might be. It's a beautiful sunny morning here.
It's miserable and cold. Actually, it's been dry today, hasn't it?
It has been dry today.
For the first time in about 2 weeks, we've had storms, which are probably nothing like the storms that you get over there, but storms.
We don't know. We're in drought at the moment. What's happening to the world?
Oh, don't even get us started on that one.
Let's not go there.
Oh, thank you so much for agreeing to come on.
Oh, good.
So I'm Alex.
Oh, yeah. We've not even told you who we are.
I feel like I know you guys because I follow you now.
I feel like I've known you for about a year. You were one of the first books that I read.
Oh, nice.
I've got to be honest, my mum is so excited that I'm virtually meeting you. So basically, when I first got sober, then my mum decided to follow in my footsteps, which I was really amazing. And initially, I told her to read Claire Pooley's book, which is The Sober Diaries. So she'd said to me, I've downloaded it, it's amazing. And then she kept telling me all these things about the book, and I was like, I don't remember that bit. And I was like, are you sure we're reading the same book? Anyway, we wasn't, because she was reading yours.
Funny.
So that's how I first heard about your book, and I'm so glad I did. But yeah, so really, what we wanted to ask you first is, we know the word alcoholic is alcohol is a taboo subject, isn't it? And even more so when you first stopped drinking. And although it's getting a lot easier because of people like you writing books and, you know, sharing your story, how did your family and friends, and in particular your husband, react when you told them that you were writing this book and, of course, putting your name to it?
So that came about 3 years after I'd stopped drinking. And I think the stopping drinking was more of a bombshell than the going public, although the going public thing was also quite, you know, a thing.
Yeah.
But the biggest bomb, you know, that exploded was me just saying to everyone that I was removing alcohol from my life, because who does that, right? And all my family drink. Yeah, my husband drinks. And you know, my drinking was very problematic, but it was, a lot of the impacts were really hidden. So it wasn't like everyone went, oh, yeah, Lotta really needs to stop. They were a bit like, oh, and it was a bit confronting maybe, but also just, yeah, surprising. So that was kind of the bigger deal. 3 years later, when I started writing the book and, you know, decided I was going to go public because I wanted to raise awareness of sobriety and also online recovery, they were just, look, I don't know. They were just, I don't know. They were just like proud and kind of just watching me. I was just on a mission, you know. It was like, you can't stop me. And I just think they were all kind of like, okay, righto, we're with you, you know, really lovely and supportive, but a little bit like, I don't know, left in my wake.
It's amazing, is it? I was a bit like that when I stopped as well. I am, yeah. I just think I found it, I couldn't believe the difference it made. I couldn't believe that there was a community of people out there. I couldn't believe just all the benefits that came from it. And I just felt like I had to share them with the world, which is what you've done. And I'm so grateful that you have done, because if it wasn't for you, I don't think my mum would have gone sober.
No, and then I read your book really early on. Well, not to lie, actually, I listened to the audio version of your book really early on, and I used to listen to it going to work in the car, and then I'd phone Lisa up and go, oh, Lotta Dann says this, Lotta Dann says that. And she was like, yeah, I know, I did it a year ago, stop phoning me.
I love that you guys are like wanting to shout it from the rooftops, because there's two things. Like, one is we just feel so good and we cannot believe, you know, how good we feel not having alcohol in our lives. And two, we can't believe the lies that we believed that were sold to us through society and marketing and all the rest of it about all the supposed positive benefits of alcohol. And when you start living without it and you realize what lies they are, you just really want to raise awareness, because a lot of people are still blinded by that, and they really do believe drinking alcohol is the best way to relax, the best way to have fun, the best way to commiserate, the best way to bond, the best way to show that you're a good hostess, all those things. And it's just not true.
No, it's absolute rubbish. And Lisa, she does this quite a lot. So she'll say, it's because I've stopped drinking, you know. Mm-hmm. Definitely, this has happened because I stopped drinking. And yeah, I know. I'm with you on this one. I get it. I agree with you, don't you?
I believe that every good thing in my life that happens is because I've stopped drinking. I put everything down to sobriety. I just do, because I can't believe how good it is. What I want to ask you, I suppose, as well is, you know, at the beginning, did you find it easy or did you find it quite difficult?
Oh, I found it hard, really hard. I mean, it is hard at first. There's no denying that, and would be foolish too, because then people might think it should be easy. We get to a place where we're free and joyous and all the rest of it. But no, it is hard as hell. I mean, you've got to retrain your thinking, which takes a lot of time. You've got to just deal with cravings. Your brain is adjusting. We've been pounding it with a drug that pushes out dopamine, right? And I did it daily for 20 years. And my brain freaked out when that stopped happening, right? So I had to adjust. My brain chemistry had to readjust. And that does happen, but again, it takes time. Plus, you've got to learn how to socialise sober. Who am I without alcohol? Am I fun? I mean, there is a lot going on. And so, no, it wasn't easy at all. It was really hard, and it took hard work and determination. But that's why, another reason why I think it's so important for us those of us that have got through that hard bit to really shine a light so that we can say to people, keep going, it gets better, I promise.
It really does, and it's like having a secret that other people just don't know about, isn't it? It's like, I know the secret, and if you just let me speak to you and just let me help you for 30 to 100 days, you're going to know that secret as well.
Yeah, I know, but the problem is, right, we have to tread quite a fine line between being joyous and happy and promoting recovery and not preaching to people, because people do get defensive. They can at least see it as being, judgy and evangelical, and you don't want to kind of close people off. So there's a fine line between promoting recovery, being joyous about it, but also, not hammering people. And so I do a lot of joyous promoting of recovery online and to people that are interested, but in my normal life, I don't, because I really don't want to put people off. And, there's this great saying you've probably heard of called attraction, not persuasion. And it's about trying to just live and be happy and free and just show that it can be done, but not actually bang on about it, especially not when people are actually drinking in front of you.
Yeah, that's the worst thing, isn't it? If you actually sat in the bar, it's really bad for you, that.
Do you know what, though, on the flip side of that, so yesterday I met up with some family members just for half an hour, and they've actually been quite vocal over the year that I talk about it too much. And I think I'm the newest sober out of the three of us here now. So I guess at the beginning you do talk about it more, because for me, it was very conscious effort, conscious to stop drinking and conscious to carry on sobriety. So I was having this conversation with my family a little while ago, and they were saying, it's all you seem to talk about. Anyway, I've now made a conscious effort that I'm not going to talk about it. So yesterday I went to a bar to meet with them, and I ordered myself my non-alcoholic beer, and they were having Prosecco and wine. And I swear I didn't say a word, and all of a sudden they start telling me about how they've cut down drinking and they don't drink in the week. And it's even when I'm not judging them, they think I'm judging them. So
I know, it is tricky, isn't it? And so then you go out of your way to prove that you're fine with them drinking, which I've probably done a bit too much, to be honest. I've gone out of my way to try and show that I'm cool with people drinking around me, because my attitude at the start was always, I can't change the world, I can only change me, although I'm kind of trying to change the world now through my books and what have you. But with my family and friends, it's really tricky. I mean, I don't know that I've got it right even now. And I've had instances where bad things have happened recently with alcohol in my real life. I don't write about it because it's private for other people, but it's a tricky thing to navigate, I think would be fair to say. And we just have to do it the best we can, but just remain really focused on ourselves, why we're doing it for ourselves, what the benefit is for ourselves. And then this is what's so important, connect with people who get it. Because sometimes that's not our family and friends, and we need those others. I mean, you guys are so lucky having each other. Just having sober buddies is just really important.
I just think we do really know how lucky we are, don't we? Yeah. Because I know when I first stopped, in the first few months, I was very on my own. And the only people I knew who were sober were the books that I was reading, like yours, and they were such a help to me. And if anybody asked me what helps me stay sober, was reading quickly and books like yours, and we're really, really grateful for them. I know that you also, I read earlier about your toolbox was online community. You developed an online community, didn't you? And sober treats as well. Which I'm a massive advocate of. I love treating myself.
Yeah, and she's always trying to get me to, but I'm just not the same. Oh, am I? I don't get it.
Is there anything else that you do to help you stay sober now?
The main one is definitely connecting with people constantly and reminding myself where I've come from. That's a biggie, and I'll never let myself forget that miserable, certainly the last morning after my last binge, but those last few months, which was so devastating, internally. I'm never going to let myself forget that. And connecting with people, especially people in the early stages, because encouraging them along really helps remind me of the work that it took. So that's a big one. What else helps keep me sober? Yeah, sober treats, and just I don't actually really have to really work at it now. I'm 8 years past my last drink. I have no desire whatsoever to touch that carcinogenic poison. Other people can have it. Like, I don't actually have to actively work at being sober in that regard. But I am working on my recovery. See, this is the difference, right? People think being in recovery, are you always going to be in recovery? I think being in recovery it doesn't mean I'm desperately trying not to drink. It means that I'm constantly looking at what I'm doing to keep myself well, right? What have I got in my life that I'm looking after my spiritual life, my physical, my mental, and my family, all those aspects. That to me is being in recovery. And that's changed over the years. Like what I was doing at 2 years sober to look after myself is different to what I'm doing now. And that's one of the gifts of sobriety, because it makes us constantly reevaluate and shift around and just put things in place to keep ourselves well and happy, because life keeps happening, tough stuff, really tough stuff. People around us are complicated. Things happen and it's hard. And so it's just having a constant eye on what am I doing to look after myself that isn't about numbing and avoiding.
What was that kind of defining moment for you then? So you just started to touch upon your last hangover, if you want to call it that. Was that it, or was there something, was it longer?
No, it was just the addiction was progressing so much, and I could see that it was pulling me. And I was, for the last 2 years before I quit, I was actively engaged with myself to try and moderate and control, because I had that little voice in my head going, this is a problem, this isn't right. The big voice going, it's fine, everyone drinks, you deserve it. The little voice was there, growing a little bit over those last 2 years. And I was trying all the techniques, to moderate and control, and none of them were working. I could see that clearly. And because I was having this internal debate with myself, I wasn't kidding myself. And then the last night I drank was obviously the night that I hid an empty bottle from my husband. And, a lot of people hide empties for a long time. It's a really common behaviour. But for me, I did it once, and that was it for me. And the reason was I could see this was a new dysfunctional behaviour. While I was trying to control things, I had no control. Yeah. And I was just so horrified when I woke up that morning, and I remember at 3 a.m. just kneeling down and getting the empty bottle out of the pantry where I'd hid it and putting it quietly in the recycling in floods of tears, and just feeling like utterly shattered and really lost and really confused, because there's no one else to blame. This is why addiction's so hard and just so low. And that for me, that was the point. I just thought to myself, the alcohol has to go. It has to.
Oh, it's really honest, and it's really touching, because although I'll be honest, I didn't actually get to the point of hiding anything, but only because I didn't have to do, because it was so openly accepted in my house and in my family that I was actually the one who didn't need to stop drinking. So I was kind of comparing myself to everybody else, thinking, oh, I'm fine, I'm absolutely fine. But what I had started to do, and it's very similar, is at bedtime is just to pour that extra bit. And it was literally an inch of wine and then sip it at the sink. I have no idea why. Well, I do know why, because I was addicted to it. But I have no idea why I was doing that. It wasn't adding anything. It was just to get that extra drop of wine down my throat before bed. Yeah,
it's a madness. It really is a madness. And it's also a very personal relationship that we have with the alcohol. It's very intimate and private, actually. And even though it's social and everyone sees it, actually you're talking about a very intimate relationship between you and the alcohol. But you explaining a bit more about your family there sort of helps to explain why you're getting the reaction you're getting. Like are you really like a bomb that's gone, a sober bomb that's exploded in your family?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we both
like a magnifying glass.
I am a magnifying glass, yeah. So yeah. I've kind of gone sober and everybody's like, whoa, she was the one who didn't need to go sober. What about us? You know?
Yeah, well, that's right. And I mean, because you understand it so well, what it's like, you know, standing at the kitchen, having that little bit, you know, that you don't need, you can also then relate to how they're feeling. It's really confronting. And I always try and have a gentle, because all my family drinks. You know, really, they do, and everyone around me. And so I try and not, it's like I said before, it's a hard line to toe, but you have to really try and understand it and empathise, and at the same time just do what you're doing, because honestly, what you are doing and quitting is so powerful, even without any words being spoken. You're just showing that it's possible and good. I mean, that, you know, in the environment we live in where alcohol is just championed, and it's so available and it's so cheap and it's so normalised and glorified, to actually stand in the middle of it and go, I'm choosing not to drink and I'm feeling really good about it, is immense and really powerful.
It's, you know what? Your Instagram and your social media is all about positivity and mindfulness. And I read your post yesterday, and I'm all about Instagram, and I love yours. It's accounts like yours that keep me motivated and always have done, and you can feel your passion, and I just really like you. I could just listen to you, like, could you?
Yeah, I could. And hearing you actually, in the passion behind what you're saying is even nicer than reading about it, isn't it?
Yeah, and especially like 8 years on to still feel so passionate about it. Like, I'm just coming up to 2 years, and I hope and I pray that I'm as passionate as you are still in another 6 years. I'm rubbish at maths. She's the clever one.
Well, it's also because I know that there's people right now, this morning, feeling like I did that morning 8 years ago. They're waking up feeling like utter bollocks and low and not good about themselves. And I do have a passion to try and want to help them. I worry that I repeat myself all the time. In 8 years of really on one topic is a lot of repeating. But I think, you know, the new people come in, and yesterday I did actually get quite passionate because someone on the community that I run, the online community, had written a post about how they were moderating and they were really happy about it. And a lot of our community members were kind of struggling with her post, and she was being a little bit problematic, and it just fired me up. And so I just wrote that post about how happy, I mean, this is the thing, I just do really genuinely feel so good about it. I do just want to shout it from the rooftop.
And I'm glad that you have done as well. And I know now you're working a lot on mindfulness. So can you tell us a little bit about that and what you do?
Yeah, so at the moment I really am pounding it quite hard, because I've had a couple of really tricky emotional things happen to me. It's just a phase, you know, I'm in at the moment where there's some personalities that are, you know, some tricky stuff, not in my immediate family, I should hasten to add, but just some things. And I've been over ruminating and having these internal conversations with people that are going nowhere. And I've been very aware of it. So that's the main thing that mindfulness is giving me, is an awareness of what my thoughts are doing. And I now really quickly can pull myself up. You're having that conversation again. And it's just about recognizing that and then pulling yourself out of the thinking and down into the moment you're in. So I literally just go, you're having the conversation again. What are you actually doing right now? What are your hands doing? What are you seeing with your eyes? What can you smell with your nose? And really trying to ground myself down into the moment. You know, and it's a practice, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. I still then go off, and I'll be an hour later, I'll be having that internal conversation again. But again, I recognise and I pull myself down into the moment. And the more that I do that, the better it kind of seems to get overall. And then I reach out now for even more kind of help with my thinking, and I listen to talks by people like Tara Brach and people who just really help me put a good perspective on the mystery of life. And I mean, it sounds kind of kooky, but it's actually not. She's wonderful. She's quite practical, and it's just about our place in the world and the way our brains work and emotions and people, and it just helps me really calm down. Yeah.
Love that.
I know, I'm just thinking that I'm going to write that down after, because I would really like to. I love stuff like that. In my early days, I listened to a lot. I listen to things and then I get rid of them. I've done it. But like Mel Robbins, when I first stopped, like the 5-second rule. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
I loved that at the beginning. You've read that as well, haven't you?
And Jen Sincero and
and I've got a shelf full of self-help books and very about, and meditation as well is something that I practice. I'm going to have to say practice.
Oh, good on you. I haven't actually, I've tried meditation, like formally sitting and closing my eyes and meditating, and it's never really taken hold with me, but I have been thinking lately, because like I say, at the moment, I'm in a phase where I feel like I need a bit of next level work. I might start trying to do that again. So, I do more of the mindfulness practicing rather than the formal meditation.
Yeah.
But, do look up Tara Brach. She's got so many free talks on her website. She's great.
Oh, fantastic. I feel like, when you've got stuff going on, and tell me if I'm wrong, do you kind of find that helps motivate other people? So when you put a post on, a very positive post, is it something that you might be telling yourself but also telling other people?
Not with the sobriety so much, because like I said, I actually don't have to actively work at not drinking alcohol anymore.
Yeah.
That's easy for me. But sometimes just the positive stuff. I try and also be honest in my social media, because I don't want to be relentlessly positive all the time, because life's not like that. And actually, funnily enough, yesterday morning, I was anxious all morning with, the actual in my tummy nerves. Yeah. No reason, except it is just what it is, which is low-level anxiety. It kind of shifted by the afternoon, and that's when I wrote that fired-up post, and it was great. But, the reality of my day wasn't that I was all happy all day. So I've got to try and somehow reflect that as well, just to keep it real and be honest. It's always a mixed bag, isn't it? Life.
That's what we always say. We're always, we've got quite a lot of members now, and I think a lot of people think in sobriety the magic wand's going to come along and wave away your problems, and we're always saying, look, your problems remain. It's just the way you deal with them that shifts. And I think that's probably the best way of looking at it.
That's exactly right. And then the more time that you go not reaching for alcohol as a coping mechanism, the more strategies you develop. So right now, 8 years ago, I would be drinking a lot of wine because I'm going through a bit of a gritty phase. I've got this new book coming out, which I'm a bit nervous about. I've got this stuff happening with these interpersonal relationships. I've got 2 part-time jobs. I've just started a new one. I'm involved in quite a bit of travel. Like, there's a lot going on. And I'd probably be just drinking more than normal through it in the old days. But now, new sober me is listening to Tara Brach, is practicing the mindfulness, is making sure I go to my yoga class. It's making sure I walk the dog even when I just want to lie on the sofa and watch The Real Housewives of Cheshire. This is the new me that has these other things. It doesn't mean that any of this tricky stuff goes away, but you're right. It's just the way that I'm managing it is different.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm a little bit like that.
Yeah, you
well.
are.
Definitely.
You are. In fact, just speaking with you now, Lotta, really, I can see a lot of similarities in the mindset with you and Lotta.
We must read the same stuff. So you did mention your new book. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a departure for me because I've always, in the 8 years since I've been sober, I've always really focused on the personal journey, getting yourself sober. And I haven't really veered too much into what you might call political speak in terms of the environment we live in, marketing, manipulation, all that stuff. Because actually I always think for an individual trying to fix themselves, getting angry at the state of the world is going to be a bit of a waste of energy early on. So that's been my focus for 8 years, but I've just actually got sick of it. So I've written a book which is pretty feisty, and it's just really, really unpicking this environment we live in and just the craziness of the privileged position alcohol's been allowed to hold, and just really focusing on the impact it's having on women. And so I've got a whole lot of chapters written by me, which is analysing various aspects of alcohol's impact on women. And then in amongst that, I've got these stories, personal stories from women I've interviewed about their relationship with alcohol across their lifespan. They're quite short, they're like 1,500 words, but they are honest and they are revealing and they're heartwarming and heartbreaking and really powerful, because it's just the truth, right?
Yeah.
I just want to tell the truth about what's going on, not the lies we get fed, but the truth. So hopefully this book is going to lift the lid a little bit.
It sounds incredible. Yeah. That is definitely my type of book. Mine. And I'm so with you. I think one of the things that actually really motivated me is when I realised how much I had been lied to my whole entire life by the media, by the alcohol industry, the government. And I say to people now, and I've got to be really careful that I don't rant away to people that are regular drinkers. I know, but it makes me really mad. I'm like, how dare I be told this my whole life? You know, we've realised, like, round near us, they've cut the funding to alcohol and recovery centres and drug services, yet they're making billions and billions of pounds by getting people pissed, and it makes me really, really mad. And I think people need to know about it. So I'm going to buy loads of copies of your books and just spread them about.
One of the things that we do is go into workplaces and we talk to like the corporate world about trying a sober experiment, and we do a big section, as well as productivity and the rest of it, we do a big section on the alcohol industry and how alcohol is sold to you, all the subliminal messages. We do a huge section on it, don't we? And
Fantastic.
But I can feel us both getting really like energised and mad about it, because one of the things that both of us believe, because it's on the TV all the time, is how much alcohol is costing the NHS. Yeah. So it's costing the NHS, it's costing the public services, it's costing this. But then, even when you take all that away, the government is still making £10 billion a year. Even when you take that away, and yet they've managed to cut funding. So we got on our high horse massively about it, don't we?
Yeah, it is costing our health system so much money, but that's only at the pointy end of it. Yeah. And think about all those people that don't end up in hospital or at their doctor or whatever, who are just at home being also really badly impacted. Like, the cost is actually massive. Yeah. And it is a madness. And I do honestly think we're going to look back at this time and be like, what, like we do with cigarettes, and how everywhere they were, and you could smoke at the movies and on buses and on aeroplanes, and doctors would recommend smoking, and I do genuinely believe we will. I think it's going to take a while, but I think it's slowly chipping away. All of this sobriety movement, all of this growth of books and podcasts and talk about sober curiosity and everything is the start of this shifting, but it's got to filter up to that policy level, and we have to dismantle the amount of propaganda that the liquor industry is able to spread. I mean, even just the way that they try and diffuse and distract from the evidence around alcohol causing cancer. I mean, it's horrifying, utterly horrifying. And it's the same tactics they did with tobacco. I mean, alcohol causes cancer. That is a fact. Yeah. And yet most people don't know that.
The other thing that people don't realise is alcohol causes heart disease and stroke, and stroke is one of the top killers with alcohol. If you ask anybody what alcohol causes, they'll say liver damage, and actually that's quite low down the list. Yeah, in terms of the number of deaths. So yeah, we get quite mad about it.
Oh, you guys are doing such great work. I mean, that's amazing. I love it. I didn't realise you were doing that. That's so good. Good on you.
We love it. The workplace is our passion, isn't it? It's just kind of spreading the word that alcohol is not what you think it is. And that's the main thing that we do focus on, to be honest, is just to show people the other side, that we've been led to think that having a drink after work relieves stress, because we've seen it on the television. We've seen people, British programme or soap is in a pub. They are, and I think that has got to change. We have shops now.
Even Kirsty and Phil, every time they do a deal, a real estate deal, they're at the pub.
Why
now? It's so everywhere. We almost don't see it anymore. It's so saturated, we've become blind to it, and it is a madness. We could go on and on, but
rant all day about that. Just quickly though, what is the drinking culture like where you are? Because I know we've got a very pub culture, haven't we? Wine bars, and what's it like where you are?
It's very similar. We don't have such a pub culture. Although we do have a lot of pubs and bars, it's very much at home, we're saturated. Alcohol's available in supermarkets here, so it literally sits next to the bread and milk in the supermarket, beer and wine.
Yeah.
And it's, in my suburb alone, we've got like 9 outlets where you can buy alcohol. So it is everywhere. You get offered it at the hairdressers. You get offered it when you go, to your real estate agent and you buy a house, you get a bottle of bubbly. It's everywhere. You go to any school fundraiser and there's a glass of bubbles in the ticket price. Most people drink at home all the time. We are completely and utterly saturated, and our laws are very loose. There's no sort of limits on how many licenses can be granted in a suburb for people to sell. The drinking age is 18. It's just, we're totally saturated in it. And we're all of the professionals right across the board, doctors, police, everyone you can name is crying out for legislation changes, and the government is not looking at doing anything.
They don't want to yet, though. I mean, this is one of the things for us, and one of the difficulties that we experience is actually just getting workplaces to let us speak, isn't it?
Oh, it all depends on who we speak to. We'll have some people and they may be questioning their own drinking. So they're like, come in, talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And then obviously what we do can put the fear of God into some people, and they're like, don't come to my workplace. It's absolutely, we can't even touch on that subject.
Yeah, just won't talk about it because they're frightened of, rocking the boat. I actually had an employer say to me, and it's somebody I know, thankfully, say to me, there's no way you can come to my place. Everybody will leave if we have you in. And we're like, what?
I know, but I understand that. I mean, again, we have to understand it because we know what it's like. I mean, tell me, how terrified were you both when you were faced with the prospect of having a life with no alcohol in it? What did that feel like?
Couldn't even imagine it. Could not
Terrifying.
Imagine it.
Yeah. If anyone had said to us 3 years ago, put us both in a room and said, you two will stop drinking one day, we'd have gone, no, we won't. No.
I think as well, I was more of a binge drinker, and at the time when I stopped, it really highlighted my husband's drinking, which I speak about quite a lot. And I just think I would go out and get drunk with my friends and tell them what a piss pot my husband was. Like, he's got a problem he's a functioning alcoholic, He's a functioning alcoholic. And it was kind of them and us. And I used to feel sorry for people that would be classed as alcoholic because they had to stop drinking forever, and that would be unthinkable. Oh, you poor thing, you're never going to be able to have a social drink.
I know, but that attitude keeps us stuck, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it helps keep us drinking. And actually, that's why just smiling and cruising around and being a happy non-drinker is the most powerful thing, because it confronts that stereotype.
It really is. And you know what? It's also down to people like you being brave enough to share your story. And we are so glad you did. And we're so happy to have you on our podcast.
We really are. But before you go, can you give one top tip for somebody? I should have 3.
As many as you can think of.
As many as you can think of. Top tips for somebody trying to either quit or cut down on drinking.
Okay, number 1, be honest with yourself. You know the truth. You are the one who wakes up with yourself at 3 a.m. So be honest with yourself. Don't kid yourself, and just face up to what the reality is for you with your relationship with alcohol. Number 2, know know, even if it seems like craziness, know that change is possible and that you will get to a place where you don't miss that stuff at all. And number 3, connect with people who know what you're going through. And that might not be your most immediate loved ones. You need to find people who understand, who are wired the same. Either they're going through it now at the same time or they've been through it before. Connect with them online, in your communities, wherever, so that you don't feel alone.
Oh, they're brilliant.
I think that's brilliant. And especially that last one. I know how important your online community has been for you. And it was the same for me, and we've got a sober tribe, haven't we, in Manchester? We've got Be Sober Manchester. So we all go out, we do stuff together, we go for alcohol-free nights out, we go for walks.
Awesome.
It's amazing.
Big sober posse.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so jealous. I actually don't have that in my real life. I really don't. Like, most of my connections are online. I don't have a lot of sober friends in real life.
I really feel for you for that. But when you were saying before about how everybody around you drinks, I've completely separated myself from all the people I used to drink with. I don't know whether, I suppose I did do it purposely, and then obviously found there wasn't a sober tribe, so we had to make one. But we have, and it's been the best thing ever. So I can highly recommend doing that. It's important, definitely very important, and it's helped me a lot, definitely.
And you've just inherited 2 more real life sober friends.
Yay! Thank you.
So, and if you're ever in Manchester, you have to come on one of our nights out, because
I love that.
Oh yeah, we could come to you and start a New Zealand sober tribe.
Come to Wellington, New Zealand.
Yeah, I would love to.
It's on our bucket list.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for spending, because we know how busy you are, and we're really grateful. Thank you.
No, I'm all good. I've just made some soup and I'm going to hang out the washing. I've got a day off today. It's such a joy talking with you guys. I love your energy. It's just so positive and happy and encouraging and really good. So yay for you both getting sober.
And yay for you. See, like attracts like. I love you. As soon as you came on, I'm like, I love
Yes, I could tell as well.
Thank you.
Okay, no worries.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.